They refuse to say it aloud. Then something changes, subtly at first, then definitely, as soon as a Sigma guy walks into a room. The alphas, who are used to enjoying attention and dominance, become silent and suddenly uncertain of their position. Sensing a presence outside of their established hierarchy, the betas tense up. And those pretending to be confident? Their facades start to crumble under the silent pressure, and they start to fidget. The Sigma doesn't demand attention. That's not the case. He never strives to dazzle, doesn't posture, and doesn't boast. He just shows up, grounded, completely in tune with himself, and uninterested in playing anyone's social game, and the game is completely broken by that alone. Just having him around is a rebellion. He doesn't require approval, and his failure to ask for it causes others to doubt their own intentions. He doesn't have to say much because his quiet speaks louder than any arrogant words. The Sigma just is, while others want to be noticed. And that subdued, dominant energy makes the entire space a mirror, reflecting everyone's fears back at them. He's not here to pursue prestige, to uphold his truth. He is here. By doing this, he reveals the true hollowness of the majority of the room. He doesn't talk loudly, he doesn't try to win people over, and he definitely doesn't fall for validation traps. However, everyone is left wondering, did he see through me, when he leaves a conversation? The 5 disturbing reasons why Sigma guys are covertly feared in every area they enter are the focus of our investigation today. This one will feel personal if you've ever experienced the anxiousness when you first walk in. Prior to starting 1, he is dangerous because he defies authority. The Sigma's aggressiveness and loudness don't make people fearful of him because he is uncontrollable, unbuyable, and unguilty. They fear him. There is an unwritten script in every social institution, whether it is the workplace, the gym, the friend group, or the group chat. When the leader makes a joke, laugh. When it's expected, give a compliment. Support the viewpoint that is most vocal in the room. Don't stand out too much unless you want to be praised. All of that is destroyed simply by the Sigma male's presence. He doesn't just stay away from the script, he rejects it. And by doing this, he undermines the shaky basis that most people use to define themselves and feel like they belong. He doesn't laugh when it's considered appropriate by society. For the sake of harmony, he will not agree. Furthermore, he will not indulge in pointless teasing in an attempt to win favor. Rebellion is not the driving force behind this type of extreme non-compliance. This is driven by clarity. The Sigma is well aware of his identity, ideals, and things that he will not entertain. He just turns up, genuine, unaffected by appearances, while others are occupied with acting parts. And people squirm because of that. His presence makes it clear how much of everyone else's behavior is an act, not because he seeks to control. It is not followed by the Sigma. He never plays along, doesn't vie for attention, and doesn't flatter the powerful. The game itself is exposed by his unpredictable behavior. He is impervious to tactics of humiliation, status, approval, and coercion. What then occurs? People begin to call him haughty, too intense, aloof. However, those labels, they are disguised to arouse dread, because they know in their hearts that you can't control a man who doesn't need you. 2, he cracks every trick and dismantles it quietly. In the majority of social encounters, people are performing as well as speaking. Every gesture and phrase is part of a bigger performance designed to maintain social control, get favor, or assert supremacy. The quiet armory of manipulation includes backhanded compliments that pass off rivalry as generosity, one-up tales to restore power, and name-dropping to inflate status. It's a competition, not just a discussion. However, the male Sigma sees right through it all. The Sigma functions on a deeper level than others, who are entangled in the web of status games. He analyzes tone changes, looks for trends, and carefully breaks down each passive-aggressive remark. He is aware, not because he is paranoid. His hyper-awareness, which he developed by self-examination and seclusion, has made him more perceptive than other psychologists. He can tell when someone is looking for approval. When compliments are laden, he can tell. He also doesn't respond. His best psychological defense is this lack of response. It stops the power play in its tracks. The manipulator anticipates a defense, a flinch, or a submission, but instead they receive silence. That lack of response does not imply ignorance. "I see what you're doing," is the message. Additionally, it won't function here. The Sigma, he sees right through everything. He stays away from arguments and passive aggression. He just pulls away, silently, quietly, and without fuss. People find that unsettling. They want a response, verification, pushback. However, the only thing they have left is control, which is taken away when the Sigma remains silent and refuses to be provoked. By choosing not to play, he nullifies the game rather than attacking it, and they are more afraid of that than they are of confrontation. 3. He makes the powerful audience feel throwaway. One individual in the group always enjoys being the focus of attention. The loudest chuckle, the most recognizable face, the recurring storyteller. These people frequently depend on social energy to keep their sense of value. They entertain the audience as though it were a stage, drawing approval from each nod, chuckle, and look. It's simply how they've learnt to live in a culture that values charm over morality. It's not intrinsically malevolent. The Sigma male, however, is not involved in this. He doesn't give approval like candy, he doesn't feed egos out of habit, and he doesn't chuckle out of politeness. His lack of concern is disturbing, not because he is impolite, but rather because it shows how much these individuals need on unwavering attention. They begin to feel invisible when a Sigma walks into the room and doesn't circle around them. Throw away. He doesn't talk over you. He just doesn't take part in their antics. And his quiet reverberates more loudly than any cheers. According to psychological study, people, particularly those who associate identity with social approval, yearn for confirmation. Their sense of control is undermined when that feedback is withheld, whether on purpose or not. The Sigma accomplishes just that. By refusing to validate the act, he reveals its hollowness. The Sigma then enters, no standing, no show, just a serene presence. The room abruptly rebalances. People's postures change. Before they talk, they pause. The focus changes. The Sigma commands more attention without uttering a word than others who make every effort to gain it. Why? As he doesn't insist on relevancy. The illusion of it is revealed by him. His sheer presence serves as a reminder to the so-called popular that their authority is subject to conditions, interchangeable, and that is frightening to fragile egos. 4. He is guided by his inner compass rather than society's moral compass. In most social groups, groupthink is the norm. There are unspoken guidelines regarding appropriate speech, appropriate conduct, who should be praised, and who should be marginalized. These processes, which frequently reward conformity and punish disagreement, help to shape the group's common identity. The message is obvious whether you're following trends, laughing at the appropriate jokes, or adhering to political correctness. If you don't fit in, you'll be reprimanded. Not only do Sigma males disregard these guidelines, they completely disagree with the idea. They function according to an internal set of values that are unaffected by changing cultural trends or peer pressure. Sigmas are impervious to manipulation of this sort, whereas most people unconsciously modify their conduct to avoid social conflict. They don't want to upset anyone, but they also don't want to blend in. And for people who depend on conformity to stay in power, that poses a threat. This is known by psychologists as high self-differentiation, or the capacity to uphold one's identity and principles in the face of outside pressure. This is a characteristic of Sigma guys. Even when everyone else is conforming to the group norm, they enter a room and refuse to back down. Not only does such sincerity stand out, but it also upsets the entire social algorithm. It serves as a reminder that genuine integrity originates internally rather than externally. The Sigma guy, however, does not submit to societal norms. He follows his own set of rules. He quits a job if it violates his morals. He's out of the friend circle if disrespect is tolerated. He walks if his spouse disturbs him. The group is not necessary for him. He doesn't seek praise. If he is misinterpreted, it doesn't matter to him. They are afraid of him because of this. Because those who are willing to compromise are affected when one individual refuses to do so. He turns into a live example of what they may be if they had the guts. 5. He leaves in silence, leaving a psychological scar in his wake. Nobody acknowledges this, but Sigma males don't make an announcement when they're leaving. No tantrums are happening. No, we must speak. No spectacular last acts. He just vanishes. No more responses. No more being there. Not a warning. Only when he's already gone do anyone notice. What pierces the most deeply is that they are accustomed to males who constantly justify themselves and plead for them to stay. However, closure is not what the Sigma does. He cuts the cord, cold and clean, if he feels insulted or exhausted. That quiet? It turns into the most audible message of all. He didn't go out and punish. To safeguard his vitality, he departed. What's the worst? He left as though you were inconsequential. Why the silence and strength of the Sigma male are feared by society? It's not that he fights, not because he's in charge, but because they have no control over him. Since he serves as a reminder, validation is not necessary for such confidence. That quiet can be more powerful than a performance. Power is that detachment. He is everything they pretend to be, which is why they fear him, as well as everything they're afraid to become. Don't flinch then, if this speaks to you. Don't elaborate. Stay out of their game. You were not made to blend in. You were made to cause trouble. Subscribe right away if you're the kind of man that doesn't falter under duress, plead for attention, or stoop for favors. It's more than just a channel. The army is silent. See you at the following one. Continue to be risky.